Hey there, extraordinary treasurers. So you're reconciling along, everything's going great. Suddenly you come to some sort of electronic payment that's not in Jewel. Maybe it was a debit card purchase or a utility bill. No problem. You click on New Entry and enter it right there as an expense. Then you click it off and move to the next item on the statement. Hold everything. The New Entry button that you find on the bottom right of the bank rec page in Jewel is not designed to be used for forgotten items, such as utility bills, checks or offering deposits, debit charges, or electronic purchases. That New Entry feature on the bank rec page does have a purpose, and here's a list of the types of entries where it can and should be used. Bank fees, like a stop payment, or if the church bounces a check, which occasionally does happen. NSF fees, where a donor bounces a check. Transfer fees, where you're wiring money overseas. The cost of printing new checks or deposit slips that shows up on your statement. Adjusting a particular check or deposit when Jewel and the bank have a difference of opinion. It's also used for interest income. When you use the New Entry button to enter a purchase, it does get the entry onto the bank rec page, so it can be checked off. But it also creates a problem. The problem is there's no place for a payee. There's an account name and a memo, but no pay to the order of, like a check has. At first glance, this may not seem like a big deal, but using that method leaves a very important piece of information off of your check report. See the big blank space there? Clarity is pretty much non-existent because this report tells me virtually nothing. The check number's in the memo line, but there are some very large checks here. Look in the amount column. $7,000, $4,000, $3,000, and the board has no information about them. If I were on that board, I would be asking some questions. Who are these checks written to? Entering checks this way also makes it impossible to sort by payee when you're tracking expenses for the annual budget, or if you need to find more detail on that expenditure. And it also often leads to duplicate entries. Compare this to a section of the check report where all the entries were entered using write check. Much more clarity. We know the recipient of the check, and the memo line can now be used correctly to show detail of what was purchased. So if you need to enter a forgotten purchase or payment, use write checks, not New Entry. There's a video entitled Adding Auto Payments, Interest, and Other Entries that can help you do it correctly. And if you have any deposits or checks that continue to appear month after month on your bank rec page in Jewel, we're going to talk about them next.